On this Make It Once video, finding all the wrong ways to extract a wheel stud. So I'm going to try to replace this stud where the threads are just a mess. Low speeds, 4 is enough. But if I'm going to be driving this around, I just want the peace of mind of having the final stud in. Ordered a bunch from Rock Auto. They're not manufactured super well. The thread isn't like clean, but it should thread okay. But for the moment, we need to get the old ones off. So I'm going to try everything I can to get it off without hammering on it. So the way I'm going to attempt this is, you imagine the back side of the stud is here, and I create a little bit of a gap, right? So that gives me about, 1/8 of an inch, a millimeter, and then I'm going to get this on the wrench and then tighten it down. I have a bigger C-clamp than this if this isn't strong enough. It doesn't seem like it takes a lot of force to get them out. You just have to have it be longitudinal, going straight down the stud, and that's kind of the hard part of this whole endeavor. So I'm going to get on my face shield, see if I can line everything up and get this off without actually hammering on it. Pretty good. This last bolt was getting jammed underneath the handbrake. This last bolt was here, and it was kind of jammed in over here. So I kind of had to wiggle it free. So the whole thing was free, didn't have to bang on it. So this thing isn't very easy to take off. So I had to actually remove the bolts and the little bracket. So my axle is free now. Taking a look. There's dirt in there, obviously. So I'm gonna have clean it all out. I don't know what that stuff is. And this is some weight reduction going on over here, but this is pretty cruddy, so I'm gonna clean it out, re-grease it. I don't think I'm going to go through the trouble of replacing them, because you have to cut this part off and press fit them. Everything looks pretty good. I wouldn't say good, but it doesn't look horrible. So I'm getting to trying to get this stud out, and this is just not designed to be serviced at all. The shield gets in the way, and there's no way to get it off without pulling all of the bearings and races and things and like the stuff like that off, and that's a total pain in the ass, and you need a grinder to do it. And obviously it doesn't fit underneath the shield, or the shield doesn't fit onto the press to press it out. You need to kind of do something with an overhang. So I was thought about hitting it with a hammer, but I think that's just going to damage and elongate the hole. I don't believe that it takes a whole lot of pressure to get this out, but it just needs to be lined up and supported so you don't bend the actual hub. So the shield is getting in the way, so I had to do something funky like this to kind of set it up and have the support get underneath the hub but over the shield. And so it's all kind of stacked up, but as if you notice, if I push down, it might tilt this way because it's not actually being supported by anything except this clamp just pinning it down. Yeah, you can kind of see it, it's starting to tilt. So this setup is probably kind of stupid, so I'm going to put on my face shield here. Yeah, it's just pushing it down. I don't think this is going to work at all. So I couldn't figure it out with the clamps and everything, but now, so I'm just using the press as a big giant anvil, just taking a hammer to it. I'm not hitting it too hard, it just takes a little bit, and there we go. So all that frustration to try to figure out how to get it into the press, and all it took was a few blows of the hammer. So now I can press in a new one and I'm good to go. Well, there goes that tool. Well, that just happened. Alright, so I guess I gotta get that thing out, and that's the end of that tool. Alright, so I don't know if you can see too well. Cleaned it all up, but there was some grit in the grease, and it was all the way down. So at some point, I think it's not a good way to do it. So I think this seal over here doesn't seem perfect, but like I said, I would have to take the whole thing apart, and just cleaning it up I think is a better bet. So book says that the whole dust seal to dust seal should be filled with high quality grease. So that's what I'm gonna do here.
How cool is this car? How cool is this car?
So now the hard part of putting it all back together. So everything's back together with a new rotor in place, all seemingly just for a stud, but I did have to take it all apart to check the bearings and put in new grease. I was going to put new rotors all the way around anyway. A couple of them are warped. I'm not going to show putting the brakes. I already did that. The only difference will be in the back here is that there are two brake hoses in the back here that connect both back rear brakes to the front, so I'll just have to replace those. Otherwise pretty standard stuff. And then I'll have my brakes set to go. I can lower the car and start driving around and get the engine sorted before I actually start putting the upgrades. I kind of want to just get this to stage 0, you know, back to basics, see what the baseline is, see how this car drives after all these years before I start upgrading, so I can kind of justify my own expense and time as I upgrade it, feel the actual improvements. We're pretty close to getting this thing back on the ground so I can start improving it and enjoying it.